In this module, you'll see how you can play a major role in RWAs without writing a single line of code. We'll look at research, governance, and business development, how to evaluate deals, influence DAO decisions, and connect TradFi capital with DeFi protocols. Real-world assets aren't just a smart contract problem. They're an information and coordination problem. You need people who can analyze assets and originators, delegates who can judge integrations and set risk limits, and business minds who can source deals and align incentives between TradFi and DeFi. Throughout this course, we'll keep coming back to how these non-technical roles directly shape RWA outcomes. Think of the RWA value chain as a pipeline that turns a messy, real-world deal into a clean, on-chain position you can farm. It starts with origination and structuring, finding assets, negotiating terms, and wrapping them in a legal vehicle. Next comes tokenization and protocol integration, encoding rights in smart contracts, then plugging those tokens into DeFi. Finally, ongoing monitoring tracks performance and risk over time. Business development, analysts, and DAO governance each own different stretches of this pipeline. The first pillar of the RWA ecosystem is research and due diligence. The RWA analyst is the bridge between messy, off-chain reality and clean, on-chain positions. Their job is to turn legal docs, financial statements, and collateral data into a simple risk-return story. In practice, they're the eyes and ears of DAOs and funds before any capital moves. You can map your information sources along two dimensions, on-chain versus off-chain, and private versus public. Public on-chain data is what you'll query with Dune or Flipside and read in governance forums. Public off-chain includes rating reports, regulatory filings, and macro research. Private off-chain covers audited financials, loan tapes, servicing reports, and deal room decks. Private on-chain is gated vault analytics and proprietary risk models. Strong RWA analysis samples intelligently from all four quadrants. When you look at an RWA deal, focus on four risk buckets. Credit risk asks, will the borrower actually pay? And if not, how much can be recovered? That's direct principal risk. Liquidity risk is about how easily you can exit. Thin secondary markets or strict redemption terms mean lockups and slippage. Legal and structural risk determine whether your tokens map to enforceable claims. If that link breaks, everything breaks. Finally, operational and servicer risk covers the humans running the asset. Mismanagement or fraud can quietly erode value. Once RWAs plug into DeFi, someone has to decide which assets are allowed in, at what size, and under what conditions. That's where DAO governance for RWA integrations comes in. The governance delegate, or risk steward, acts like the protocol's decentralized credit committee, approving integrations, setting risk limits, and continuously checking whether yield still compensates for legal, reputational, and tail risks. An RWA doesn't go straight from idea to live pool. It moves through a governance pipeline. First, someone pitches the strategic fit and basic economics, and the community pushes back or refines the idea. Next, risk and legal specialists tear it apart. SPV structure, covenants, collateral, smart contracts. If that passes, token holders vote on whether the protocol should take this risk at all. Only after approval do originators and risk stewards actually deploy, monitor, and report on the asset. Working with RWA collateral is really about choosing how far you're willing to turn each risk knob. You start with onboarding limits, maximum debt, LTV caps, and how long funds can stay lent. These keep overall exposure bounded from day one. Then you layer on risk controls, haircuts, diversification rules, and automated triggers that slow or unwind positions when metrics move. Finally, you add ongoing oversight, periodic reporting, covenant checks, monitoring, and third-party attestations to confirm reality still matches the model. Business development is where RWA theory becomes actual capital flows. This role hunts for asset originators, protocols, and institutions that should work together, then structures deals everyone can live with. You're balancing regulation, operations, and user experience. Done well, BD turns one-off experiments into repeatable pipelines that move serious money between TradFi balance sheets and DeFi liquidity pools. TradFi and DeFi aren't just using different tech. They optimize for different values. TradFi is obsessed with regulators, capital rules, KYC, and brand risk. Their nightmare is a compliance failure that shuts the whole business down. DeFi maximizes open access, transparency, composability, and minimizing trust in any single actor. The business development role is to translate those constraints, design legal and technical wrappers around them, and line up incentives so both sides feel protected and still see upside. Most solid RWA deals follow a predictable loop. You start with discovery. Is there enough asset volume? Is the credit risk acceptable? And can it fit inside current regulation and tech constraints? Then you design the solution. Pick chains and protocols, choose vault or pool structures, and define how the token represents claims and payouts. Next comes commercial negotiation: fees, revenue splits, covenants, and legal wrappers. Finally, you launch, measure performance, tighten risk, and iterate the structure for the next deal. You can think of your RWA skills as a T-shape. The horizontal bar is your shared foundation. You understand DeFi mechanics like AMMs and lending, you're fluent in basic credit and finance, and you're comfortable when regulation or jurisdictions come up. Then you go deep on one vertical. You might specialize in fundamental credit analysis, become the governance and politics person inside DAOs, or focus on enterprise B2B sales and deal structuring. The most effective profiles combine that broad fluency with one sharp, compounding edge. Here's a simple way to turn this course into action. First, block time each week to read one real RWA proposal end to end and take notes in your own words. Next, make your thinking public. Post a short risk review or a comparison between two deals. Then, reach out to DAO delegates, risk teams, or issuers with one concrete offer to help. Finally, choose a niche and keep repeating this loop until you build a visible track record.